Hello, it's 9 p.m. in RTD. It's time to English New Edition. For tonight headlines, we have in Ali Sabih region is the Minister of Culture's launch a workshop of awareness, a workshop on the valorization of intangible cultural heritage for Syria. European Union refuses to recognize Israel's sovereignty on Golan. Welcome to our newsroom. The President of the National Assembly, Mohammed Ali Mohammed, received in audience Wednesday, April 17, 2019, the Ambassador of the Russian Federation, Sergei Kuznetsov. The meeting was attended by the cabinet directors and the ambassador's advisor. After the traditional words of welcome, the Russian ambassador informed the head of the hemicycle that he had come to say his farewell, but also thanks him for the excellent relations maintained during his mission. He also appreciated the good cooperation between the two countries, especially between the respective parliaments. He later stressed that he hopes that in the future there will be more exchanges between the Russian and Djiboutian parliament, and this in the framework of friendship and cooperation between representatives of the two peoples. For his part, President Mohammed Ali Mohammed thanked Ambassador Sergei, who never spared any effort to strengthen relations and commitment between the two countries at all levels. The President of National Assembly also considered it necessary to continue the joint efforts aimed at broadening the scopes of bilateral cooperation and a priori between the legislative bodies. Under the chairmanship of the Honorable Sharmake Musa Arre, the Committee of Finance and the General Economy met this Wednesday, April 17, 2019 at 9 a.m. in committee rooms 1 to consider the draft legislation adoption of financial account of Djibouti International Airport for the financial year 2015 and 2016. The government was represented by the Minister of Transport, Mohammed Abdul Qadir Musa, accompanied by the chairmen of the Board of Directors and the General Managers. The financial account of Djibouti International Airport have been approved by the Board of Directors. The Minister explained that the International Airport of Djibouti was confronted in 2015 with major problems that are due to the different conflict of the region. The conflict situation has led to a slowdown in air traffic flows, including the suspension of aircraft overflight in Djibouti space for reasons of security. The Minister of National Education Vocational Training, Mustafa Mohammed Mahmoud, today received a visit to his office from Sheikh Mansour bin Musallam, President of the Education Relief Foundation. The meeting was attended by the Secretary General of the MENFOP, Mohammed Abdullah Mahyoub, as well as the senior executives and officials of the MENFOP and the Director of Planning and Programs of ERF, John Manuel. This meeting, which follows at first official visit of the President of the ERF during the month of January, was an opportunity for the ministers Mustafa Mohammed Mahmoud and the President of the Education Relief Foundations to launch a pilot project, Balanced and Inclusive Education for the benefit of school children in our country. After the region, the Minister of Muslim Affairs, Cultures and Waqf Property, Mumin Hassan Barre, visited the capitals of the Ali Sabih region on Monday's delegations with several of its main collaborators. During this trip, the Minister of Muslim Affairs sponsored the Zakat distribution ceremony and the fourth and final installment of the sponsorship due for the year 2018. These beneficent actions took place in the presence of the Director of Diwan Waqf Property, Ilmi Noor Jama, the Director of the Zakat Diwan, Suleiman Hussein, the Director of Culture, Duali Hassan Ahmed, as well as senior executive and responsible for his department. Another important activity still in the city of Aska, the Minister Mumin Hassan Barry has also launched the work of sensitization workshop on the enhancement of national intangible cultural heritage. This meeting, which aims to inventory the ancestral cultural practices, brought together customaries, chief religious and craftswomen, young people, peers of the oral traditions and other actors in traditional circles. For his part, the Minister of Muslim Affairs, Mumin Hassan Barry, intervened during these two events concerning the launch of the Diwan Zakat and in particular the last tranche of the contributions of the sponsorship of the year 2018. Mumin Hassan Barry has recalled that the period of Zakat was approaching and that it was necessary to make the necessary arrangements, he said. On the launching of the work of an awareness raising workshop on the enhancement of the intangible cultural heritage, Mumin Hassan Barry urged the Asajuk people to participate massively and seriously in the vast consultations which is part of a process of elaboration of national cultural policy. The National Tax Conciliation Commission is held in its three-round meetings today, Wednesday, April 17, 2019, at the seat of the mediator. At this meeting, three items were on the agenda. The press release for the Commission's sensitization has been validated. Two cases of state-level litigations were examined. The first stage of the Commission's awareness raising tower in the interior region was set for Sunday, April 21, 2019 in Alta. The City Hall of Djibouti has organized this morning a meeting of work on the delivery of a certificate to the members of the neighborhood councils with the president of the Balbala municipality and the president of the district councils. The ceremony is chaired by the mayors of Djibouti, Fatuma Awale Usman. The ceremonies of the participation is of the president of the municipality of Bulaus and Rastika. The role of the neighborhood councils is paramount in promoting participatory management that strengthens local democracy. The neighborhood councils are working peers in the consolidation of the social bound solidarity and especially the founding cohesion of the Concord and the national unity. Many commune officials, neighborhood chief and all ward council members attend the event. The neighborhood councils of Balbala municipality was created to play a leading role in social cohesion, conviviality and dialogue between the different communities, but also awareness in many areas concerning the life of the inhabitants of this municipality of the capital. It is also an important organ in the socio-economic development of the municipality. The president of the Bulaus municipality and Rastika for their part recall the objective of this ceremony, which is, they said, the concretization of a better decentralization long in gestation. They urged all ward councils members to redouble their effort to achieve the municipality's development goals. For her part, the mayors of Djibouti City, Fatma Awali Usman, highlighted the commitment and the role of her department in favor of neighborhood development. She said, we are underlined by the mayors at the disposals of the municipalities of Rastika, Bulaus and Balbala to work together and thus promote the development of neighborhoods. She said, she later recalled the crucial role of neighborhood councils, which are considered as the basis and showcase of all neighborhoods in the communes. The Yemeni schools of Djibouti organized last night at the Palace of the People's a ceremony dedicated to the farewells of the 28 classes of students of the terminal classes and the closures of school activities of the year 2018-2019. This ceremony took place in the presence of the Yemeni ambassador to Djibouti, Mr. Abdallah bin Musallam al-Sugatri, the ambassador of Palestine to Djibouti, Mr. Kamil Qazaza, from the president of the board of directors, Mr. Maysara Mohammed Saif, the president of the parents' councils, Mr. Abdurrahman Ahmed Taha, in addition to the director of the school, Mr. Abdul Raqib Muhammad Ali, the director of the Islamic Institute of Djibouti, Sheikh Atiq bin Sulaiman Al-Himdi, and the director of King Abdul Aziz Centers in Tajura also attend this annual event. During the ceremony, the students present traditional songs and dances as well as poems expressing their gratitude to the school's administrations and the teachers. It should be noted that the number of students in these institutions is in this year's 2008 school years is approximately 900 students. The director of the schools, Mr. Abdul Raqib Muhammad Ali, expressed in his speech his congratulations on the 28 class of pupils of the terminal class who have successfully completed their study. He reviewed the of the Yemeni schools in Djibouti since its inception in 1991 to provide a good education for any generation. Mr. Abdul Raqib Muhammad Ali also emphasized the constant support of the parents, councils, and the Ministry of National Education and Vocational Training with regard to the schools, which allowed him to play his role correctly. In a festive atmosphere, the Islamic Centers of King Abdul Aziz of Tajura region is organized the celebrations of the end of school years. This ceremony was led by teachers of Islamic schools. In the programs also included a ceremony of farewell to the director, Mr. Hassan Muhammad As-Salimi, who has ended his 4 years of services in the region. Recitation competitions of the Holy Quran to reward the winners. 9 people participated, including 4 girls that were rewarded for their effort. The ceremony was under the aegis of the representative of the Saudi Embassy in Djibouti, Mr. Ishaq Ibrahim Al-Utaini, present at this ceremony. The prefect of the region, Abdul Malik Muhammad Banoita, the head of the Armed Corps, Colonel Ali Shaham, the notables, the elders, the regional authority, and finally the parents of students. As part of the fight against human trafficking, the gendarmes of Humbli Brigade have embarked on a major operations to dismantle a trafficking network. In fact, young people from the Humbli neighborhood were employed by human traffickers to Ethiopian national wishes to migrate to the Gulf countries to a home in Humbli for a fees of thousands francs by person. Then the migrants are sent to Arhiba to pass the really to smugglers of illegal migrants. The latter takes care of their routines to Obor, where a member of the network support them. To close up this edition, the head of the European diplomacy, Federica Mogherini, recalled that the European Union refused to recognize the sovereignty of Israel on Golan Heights just April 16th before the European Parliament in Strasbourg meeting for the last plenary sessions before the election. A reminder that follows the recent announcement of Donald Trump, the U.S. president, to recognize the annexations of the Golan by Israel. Europeans therefore refused to align with U.S. policy in the Middle East. On March 21, Donald Trump announced that he would recognize Israeli sovereignty on the Golan Heights, an announcement of contrary to U.S. policy in the Middle East for decades, and which occurred a few weeks before the parliamentary elections in Israel. So at the request of the MIP and the Middle East and European leaders, the head of the diplomacy, Federica Mogherini, has reaffirmed Tuesday in the hemicycle the positions of the European Union to the Golan Heights. This is it for the news. Thanks for watching us.